10 seconds to go. Jaron dribbles into the front court, drives to the bucket. His shot, no good. Put back coming in by Trayvon Scott. Cincinnati by 1. Rose from half court. His shot is no good. The snap, the put down, the swing of the leg. It is on its way. It is good. Cincinnati wins the American Championship.
Here comes the quarterback, Burrow, looking for a block, and he got it up in the front by Hopkins into the end zone. Touchdown! What a skipper! Called his own number and streaked for 23 for a touchdown for Cincinnati.
Welcome back. It is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. As always, I'm your host, Aaron Smith, and tonight I'm joined only by our producer, Ed Mayhall.
Producer extraordinaire. I'm fired up.
Best producer in the city.
Yeah. When City Beat has that category, I'm in it. For sure. Maybe. We'll do it right in.
I feel like there's some other people who might try and jump you, like Jeff FFFFF Carr.
Well, just because he works in a professional studio?
That's correct, yes.
This is an Ed production. You got to see what I do here. Like,
he also produces a daily podcast.
I almost wasn't able to record our audio tonight because I have no idea what happened with my settings. Like, I overcome adversity.
How does this happen every week? Just say.
Because every week I have to change the settings so I can listen back and edit the show. And then sometimes I want to play video games. And then sometimes I want to, just watch YouTube videos. So
unreal.
Yeah, well, I mean, overcoming dang on it, overcoming adversity. I think I had a little stroke there.
I think you did. Anniversary slipped out there even.
Not until July.
Goodness. So, I think. The Reds are playing right now. Looks like they may drop this one. I don't know. There's still 3 outs to try and come back these 2 runs, so we'll see. But what have your thoughts been on the Reds here as they've been, just kind of a lot of up and down? Castillo finally got his swag back tonight. He did give up a 3-run shot, but he also struck out, I think like 8 of his first 9 batters, and I think he had 10 by the 4th inning even. So they've been just it's been a roller coaster.
That's what I was gonna say. What is it that Anchorman says? I'm a glass bowl of emotions.
A glass case, as he's in a phone booth.
I tried really hard to quote it, didn't work, but that's how it is. Like all season, just up and down, up and down. Just when you think they're getting on the path again, then they start losing again. It's like. But they do this to us every year, so I don't know what I expected. You're right. Same thing happened last year. Beginning of the season, weren't playing too good. Then got on a hot streak, go into the playoffs, and just get blown out. When you have a Cy Young pitcher on your team.
And right now they are standing at 19-20, which is good enough for 4th place in the division. However, we are only 3 games out of 1st place, and it is still very early as there's only been, roughly after tonight, it'll be 40 games of the season, which is really only a quarter of your season, and we're still in the thick of things. So, unlike even the Pirates are still in the thick of things. The only team I'm looking at that's really bottomed out in the National League, as far as their division standings go, is Colorado. But even Colorado is only roughly 4 games behind us,
and even they beat us in 2 games. So.
They did. So it's a weird season. It's been a weird spring in general. The weather's been super strange. Have the cicadas started to emerge out on the east side?
I've seen posts about them, but I haven't seen any myself or heard any myself. So I heard over here on the east side we're not going to get as bad as the west side. So that's good.
Downtown, I haven't heard anything over, the filming of Fast and Furious that's always going on out there.
Freaking Brian's back. And then that's the other thing is, I'm an emotional guy, and Nick keeps bringing me back. Like, I keep wanting to be like, okay, I'm done with this team. And then Nick goes out there and just does something, like the other night when he brought the fan on for the post-game interview. He has to be one of my favorite players right now. Like, let's build him the statue.
You can't just keep building everyone a statue.
That's the only statue I've called for so far.
I feel like you've called for Luke Fickell's statue as well.
I think I have called for a Luke Fickell statue, but Aaron, there are no trees downtown. That's why you're not hearing cicadas.
It's
and this man would know.
I do understand that. I thought that the city would be teeming with them by now.
What land is there for them to come out of, Aaron? Like, they have to come out of the ground, which I might not get any because I have moles in my front yard this year, which is new for me. And I hear the moles eat the cicadas, so it's perfect timing.
There you go.
But my grass has never looked better.
So that's all well and good. It's really hard to transition with some of the things that you say, man. But yeah,
welcome back to you days.
Right, man. So Jeff isn't with us because he did get called into work on some emergency work here. But I mean, what do you think the Reds need to do in order to build on what they've done? Because generally speaking, we're usually coming from way back behind 500 or like this early on. And right now, sitting at right around 500, although we did end up losing. So now we're 2 games under 500. What do you think that we need to do right now to try and get to where, obviously the fans want them to be?
Right. I don't think hitting is an issue. I think it goes back to pitching again this year. I think we needed some quality starts and then some saves. Like we've talked about Amir Garrett. He finally came back from his 5-game suspension. But he started to heat up a little bit before that suspension. Did he cool down again? Well, I guess we'll have to find out about that.
No, he came back and pitched immediately and had 1 inning last night. I think it was last night.
We have an inning last night?
Yeah.
Well, then, okay, good. Let's hope he doesn't decline. Let's hope he doesn't go back to what was before the suspension. Sure. Which is also whatever.
A lame suspension?
How do you let the man hop over? Right, the rule is if you're going to get if the suspension is at least the reason what we've gotten suspensions for are creating a super spreader event. Is that what it was? And you're going to let this man just jump over a wall and come after the pitcher, but we get suspended 5 games? I mean, somebody slept with somebody's wife over at the MLB offices, and they are really taking it out on us.
So I don't know. I mean, it just seems like in every other sport, if you leave the bench area, you're automatically gone for at least that game, if not the following game.
Yes.
And here you had Baez getting mad about somebody talking a little smack. Well, he got his 5. What did Baez get? I don't understand how he gets nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm still surprised.
One day the 30 is going to come out on ESPN and we'll all understand at that point.
I'm still surprised that Castellanos didn't get in trouble actually for the fan saying what he said as he stands there with his arms crossed, just letting the fan talk and not saying anything. And Jim Day's like, "Oh shit, we got to go. Like this is not good for anybody right now."
They called an emergency meeting that next morning, sat in a conference room, read every bylaw, was like, how can we get them? How can we get them? And they didn't find one. And in a couple weeks, we're going to find out there's a new bylaw written in where if you let a fan do your post-game interview, it's been 7 games. And a $500 fine.
It'll be something like if you blaspheme against the front office of the MLB in any way, shape, or form on camera as a production of MLB, then you are fined as a team. And
I still can't believe Bally Sports let him do it. Like, I can't believe they actually let him hand the headphone over, didn't cut away or anything. I'm down with it though.
Well, I mean, when you feel like your team is just constantly being, on the short end of the stick for these situations that come up, whether it be, going all the way back to the Yachty Castellanos and the pitcher incident at the beginning of the season, or, Castellanos here most recently with the fan. We luckily nothing has happened as of yet. I don't know if I'm sure there was a letter sent or something to Castellini. And again, if you start finding the team, we already know Castellini is Johnny Thinwallet this year. So, I'm not here for that.
I'm not here for that either.
So I don't know. It's been a strange turn of events, as it were, just with the way that the MLB has responded to this Reds team. And, they keep taking it on the chin and they just keep pushing. So I don't know. I'm with you as far as pitching goes. I think we have had some quality starts out of some guys like Hoffman, who maybe we've already squeezed as much juice as we can from that one. I don't know. And obviously Castillo's got to get back to Castillo form. Yep. Tonight was the first time that he's pitched, to my knowledge, in a above 75-degree start time, which, thank God, you saw his pitch was moving quite a bit more tonight. I think it was Sadak who said that he could even hear, because obviously in the booth they can hear the ball hitting the glove. He said it just sounded like there was extra zip on his pitching tonight, which that's nothing but a good thing as far as, Castillo getting back to his form. That said, Sonny Gray's coming off of injury, so we should see some better days of Sonny Gray once he gets, tuned up. So I don't know. I'm with you as far as that goes. I think you're starting to see how much it hurts not having a team that spends money in the bullpen.
Correct.
When you have, an injury in Michael Lorenzen, and you have, Garrett out with the 5 games, it was certainly didn't go well in Colorado.
No. And then Chad brings up another good point, that we need a third baseman.
I think he was asking if we wanted him to join the show.
Oh,
Jesus.
I'm sorry. It came up during Reds talk. I read it quickly. I didn't take my medicine this morning either, so that's not helpful.
Good God, man.
No, but we need a shortstop.
Yeah, shortstop's been certainly a high point of contention this week, or this season rather, as Suarez wasn't exactly the answer. Farmer may not really be the answer. It's been interesting.
It has been. It's been, I don't know. Like I said, they keep bringing me back in, and then I keep going away. But I don't know. Did I see that Tucker Barnhart was playing first the other day?
He did play first base the other night, yeah. And Blandino was playing tonight. So they've had Farmer filling in there, obviously with no Votto, where you don't expect Votto to go down very often. It certainly hurts the team, as we've seen with a little. I mean, we have depth, certainly, just not in some of these places where you'd like to see it. When somebody goes down, you definitely find out how deep this team actually is.
Yeah, and there's not really much we can bring up from the minor leagues right now either. I mean, Hunter Green's still down there, and I mean, we're going to bring him up now.
No, not yet.
Not yet. So I don't know. Maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe, but then we'll do that whole thing like just we did last year, right? Like I said earlier, where they make us hope that we're going to make a playoff run or just win a playoff game and then crush our hearts because they hold up at third.
Well, we do apparently have a guest who's going to be joining us.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome.
So keep an eye on the lobby.
All right.
I don't know if it makes a little like boop sound or something.
It does. It makes a pop sound.
But yeah, he did want to apparently join us tonight.
I guess he doesn't do enough shows in a week.
Well, I know he was on 700 today because I'd even thought about asking him. And
I did too. when Jeff said he
Yeah.
couldn't do it, I said, "Hey, text Chad." But then I was like, he's on 700 all day talking about Luke and Joe.
Yeah, 3 hours of 700 by yourself. That'd be a hard gig, man, just to do solo radio with. I mean, I guess he's got a producer that he can talk to with Taryn, I think is his name.
Yeah, Taryn Bland. I tried to call into Mo's show the other day. I think it was last Friday, because it was like Ask Mo Anything on Friday, and somebody called in. I don't remember who this guy was. I tweeted it earlier, but this guy.
You listened to our podcast last night?
I listened to half of it.
At the end, I did mention how you were a guy who calls into radio shows all the time.
Not all the time, though. I haven't done that in the recent, Wait for him to get set up.
Well, people are still listening, so we do still have to continue to talk.
I haven't called into a radio show recently. Okay, let's get in.
Oh, hey, Dad.
Hi.
What's going on?
Not much. Just kind of hanging out. A little slow tonight, so I feel like I need to, do some content or something.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, long time listener, first time caller. I just feel like you guys usually have 3, 4, 5 people on this thing. I figured with only 2, like you might like somebody else to talk to.
Well,
I'm down with that.
This is Chad Brendel. He is a co-host on my other podcast, Bearcat Bounce podcast.
I'm just a producer.
Just a guy with a website.
Just a guy with a website.
And possibly a food review blog.
We're getting there. I went out and bought some equipment yesterday.
Nice.
The little one is excited. So my 10-year-old daughter is going to be my co-host on the food vlog. So it's getting there.
Well, he does run www.bearcatjournal.com. So Chad, thank you for joining the show. We do appreciate it. I know you did 3 hours with 700 WLW earlier today. So
15:30.
Was it 15:30?
Yeah, 15:30.
I had thought about even asking you if you wanted to join us tonight when we found out that Jeff wasn't able to, but I was like, he did 3 hours of radio today. Although you got to hang out with your buddy Luke Fickle for a little while on the show.
That was good stuff. I mean, to have the relationship I do with Luke is pretty cool. That we can get him on and he'll pop in and do little segments like that with us. Like it doesn't get much better than that because he's the most down to, like, I've been doing this for 25 years. I started at Marshall in 1995, 26 years, whatever.
Congratulations,
like,
Marshall.
Thank you. That was a big win last night.
Absolutely.
He's the most down to earth, like, normal human being that I've ever met in, like, the sports world. I always compare it to this, and it's the simplest thing. Like, he's like, when you think of, like, your family's 4th of July barbecue, and that one uncle that you, like, really look forward to hanging out with and, like, having beers with, like, that's Luke Fickle. Just want to hang out with him and, like, shoot the shit and have a good time, and he's always good for that. So it was a great. It's like 17 minutes. It was a great talk today with Luke. Did
you end up asking him about his barn?
Yes, he did.
He didn't get too detailed on it, but I can't imagine how awesome that thing is going to be.
Now, if we're reading between the tea leaves here, though, that's got to mean he's sticking around for some time. That's can't be a cheap investment to make, and I would think that it's customized specifically for his needs.
His needs are hosting official visits at his house.
Oh, all right.
Like, that is his needs. Like, he said that on the radio interview. Like, we are building this thing for recruiting, so that when he has official visitors over to his house, like, apparently, like, Brady Collins, who's our every other week guest on the BBP. So there's, like, a basketball court and, like, ping pong and, like, you name it. I can't imagine what this barn is going to be like. I can't wait to see pictures of this thing.
The Bearcat house.
Yeah,
yes.
it knowing him and just, like, the way his mind operates, like, this thing is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to see it.
I hope it's swagged out in Bearcat
Oh, come
logos
on.
everywhere
You
too.
know it's going to be swagged out.
Which love it.
Bearcat on the court, on the basketball court there.
Absolutely.
Just
Not
in
the
the off.
cartoon Bearcat, because I've heard Luke is not a fan of the cartoon.
Oh.
No. Oh, all right,
The one
then.
that they put on the patches that everybody hated.
Yeah.
I don't think Luke likes that one. So it'll probably be the standard Bearcat.
Like
Although
the
if it was like the dunking Bearcat, the throwback
yeah.
dunking Bearcat, that would be dope.
Well, and obviously Wes is, embraced that Bearcat with open arms, as that's the blinking Bearcat logo now. So that's been a wild ride as well.
How hilarious was the situation with Wes last night?
It was a great recovery, though. The take 2 was an excellent recovery.
So that was that was me. Like that so he called me 30 seconds after he posted the dancing Bearcat because his Twitter started to blow up. And he's like, "What did I do wrong?" And I was publishing the bounce. So I hadn't seen it as it was happening. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Check Twitter." So I checked Twitter and there's Wes Miller with the dancing Bearcat. I was like, "Oh no, you didn't." He's like, "What did I do?" And I'm like, that's what the old staff used for a commitment. He's like, "Ah." So then, we're talking about it and trying to find a new one for him to post. And he's like, I have to at least, this is how much I love Wes. He's like, I got to at least make fun of myself, because I screwed up. The humility, that's the thing. There's no ego with him that I've found in almost 5 weeks. There's no ego with Luke. They're not afraid to make fun of themselves. And in the college coaching world, that is so rare because those guys are wound so tight. Wound so tight.
And I think we saw a little bit of that when he was first announced and his ex-wife was posting things about when he said that he's a single man, so he's married to the game. And she started posting things and he didn't get upset about it. I think they were back and forth. So you got to love that.
I mean, it's a guy that gets it. And that's really, from my perspective, for what we do, it's so fun to have people that aren't wound too tight. Because we're like this, any other we're in the content game.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing for the content game are people with some humility, some people that have the ability to poke some fun at themselves and not take themselves too seriously. And right now with these two guys, man, it's going to be a fun ride here hopefully for a while in Cincinnati.
So while we have you here and we're talking about the Bearcats,
I'm open to talk Reds and Bengals too. I don't have to just talk Bearcats.
And I do want to tie a bow on the Reds now that we have you here, but I want to still discuss while it's here at the front of my mind. You know how I forget things.
Yeah, or his internet might cut out. Yeah,
it's true. Is there any word on Victor Locken? As there were some rumors floated around today on Twitter that he is here to stay.
He'll be back from Russia June 1st.
Okay.
He left. Basically, he met with Wes Miller the day Wes Miller got to town. And then that next day, because once the semester ends, which is right at the end of the month, right at the end of April, those guys are free for 3 or 4 weeks. So he scheduled a trip back to Russia. And that was before anything had ever happened. He gets back right around June 1st. I know him and Wes have been in contact. But I think the thing is with Vic, you need to know how healthy he is. You need to know what the situation is with his knee. Where is he at going forward? Now Wes is going to have a good deal of that information from the medical staff. But I don't know that I would guarantee anything right now until he gets back to town. I don't know how you can. I hope Vic stays around because if he's healthy, I think long term he can be a really important piece of this roster.
Well, and
he's athletic, he's long, he can shoot. He can be an important piece if things are check out with his knee.
I would think that, especially playing alongside a guy like Koval, that they would be relatively similar skill sets anyway, as far as being able to hit the outside shot, being a long a long guy down low like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. You're welcome. For
I
that.
mean, good Lord, you make it easy sometimes.
It's
What we don't know with Vic, like he doesn't have the reputation as like a big time shot blocker. Where Koval has blocked 350 shots in his career. So that is a guy with 4 years of college basketball experience that has blocked more shots in his career than Kenyon Martin blocked at Cincinnati. Now, the level of competition is not the same, but
we've not seen Locken do anything though outside of just practicing shooting drills on campus.
Coaches have. Wes scouted him in Europe during the FIBA events. I know Sean Dwyer was really, really, really impressed with him. That's why he ended up at Cincinnati, is Sean Dwyer's work on the recruiting trail. But I'm just saying he does not have that reputation coming in as a guy that blocks a lot of shots.
Okay.
Now, that's not to mean he's not going to be a shot blocker, but generally the guys that have that like natural shot blocking instinct, those guys, that fairly early, because that's one of those things that's not a learned skill.
Right.
That is something that's very specific. Like you either have the ability and the timing and the natural instinct to know how to do that, or you don't. So that's not to say Vic can't become a good shot blocker in his time here. It's just to say that he's known more for his skill. He's a really good athlete. Like I know, I heard a lot as he was coming back. He was allowed to do some stuff. He wasn't cleared. He never got cleared for full contact during last season, but he would win like see what I'm doing to myself right now. This is taking me to a bad place. He would win the sprints when the team would run sprints. That has become a point of contention.
Yep.
But
of course he was cleared for sprints though.
I didn't realize I was taking us there until we were already there.
Of course he was cleared for sprint. Everyone is cleared for sprints, no matter what.
It's like the old days when you had the map quest.
Yeah.
You'd put in somewhere and you'd pull in to the middle of a field. It would be like you are at your destination. That's what just happened to me.
Are we talking about the printed out version though, where you can't change
absolutely.
it?
Right. You can't change it. No, you are just at your destination in the middle of a cow field. That's where I just took things. And I realized it's like, MapQuest, same thing. You're like, well, maybe it's something I'm missing. And then you pull up and there's the parking lot and there's the empty field. And you're like,
that's exactly how I
landed in an empty field.
2 minutes ago, exactly how I felt. Saw it as I was going there. I'm like, well, here we are. That happened. Yep. So, like I said, I did want to tie a bow back on the Reds. So you've watched, I think, the majority of these games, and
I have.
I know you watched tonight, and even on a 4-2 game like that, there's some good takeaways from tonight, as you saw the return of Luis Castillo, if you will.
That was on me. I got a little hyped up at the end of the third inning, and then of course he comes out in the fourth and gives up 3 runs. Bang, bang, bang. I'll take the heat on that. That one's hand up. Sometimes you just got to hand up and own it. I'll hand up and own it. But 11 strikeouts in 5 innings? Are you kidding me?
Well, 8 through 3.
Yeah, that's when I was like Luis Castillo with the K.
Right.
It was good to see, though. I mean, it did get him in the 3-run inning in the fourth, but it was good to see teams not squaring him up, because that's been the problem. Tucker Barnhart at the end of his last start, his entire post-gamer was about he's so close. And I'm looking at it and going, teams are hitting 350. He's not close. There's nothing close about it. Like they're going up there and swinging it with a boat oar.
Now, how much would you credit it to? And I brought this up before you joined the show, but how much would you credit it to the fact that it was above 75 degrees before the game started tonight?
He clearly is a guy that pitches better in warm weather. I mean, that has been pretty clear throughout his career. But at some point in time, you have to, like, that excuse can't continue to fly. Although at this point now it's going to get warm. Like, what, we're hitting 80 tomorrow in Cincinnati, and it's going to ride that way for like the next 10 days, according to my weather.com app. So, that's a good sign for Castillo if we're entering into what is the time of year where he, generally improves. But he's put him in a bad spot. I don't. Do you put him in a humidor? Or you put him in a sauna when he comes off the field to make him feel like it's 78 degrees? Like, I don't know what you do, but him not getting it figured out for 7 weeks has been a disaster for this team.
I mean, and what do you do if you know that it's literally because of the weather?
Right.
What do you do with that? Do you just sit him for the first 2 months of the season?
No.
Throw him in the bullpen? I don't know. I don't know what you would do with Luis Castillo to try and better the situation, I guess.
We could ask the county to close the stadium.
I mean, a dome would probably help. I could see him, being super efficient in a dome. He might have to go to like LA or Miami somewhere. Yeah. Just find a way to only start him in places that it's going to be like 70 plus degrees when the game starts. Because if not, the thing you worry about with him too is like a lot of it's been just first inning. Like not being able to be sharp right out of the gate. And, there's not much you can do in baseball unless you're playing in Colorado every game. There's not much you can do when, you're down 3-0, 4-0 at the end of the first inning. It just makes life a nightmare. And this team is poorly constructed. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They are. My city championship knothole team was better on defense than this team. You never know when the ball is hit, like who's going to kick it. That stuff last night, oh my God, I was so mad. Like three of the easiest balls right at you. And they just kick them or throw them, 6 feet over the second baseman's head, or they're on a rundown. And you let a guy score from third on a rundown between first and second. Like, that's stuff that makes me want to take my iPad and that GIF of like the guy that picks up the keyboard and just start. That's what I want to do in those situations, because it's such you're making a lot of freaking money to not be that bad at the basics, at the fundamentals.
It's disheartening at best, just because Well, and that's what I was going to say is when he's not spending money on bullpen and you're trading away, Archie or letting Archie go, letting Archie walk, and trading away Iglesias and not filling any of those holes with anybody but literally stopgap guys.
How can you not mention what we saw tonight, Aaron? Do you know how mad I was today when I reminded myself that the San Francisco Giants signed Anthony DeSclafani for 1 year, $6 million. And that's not that important at the back of your rotation that you couldn't have given that guy $6 million to come back here?
I know that Castellini cries poor, but the simple numbers are available on a Google search, and not a single baseball team last year finished in the red. Not one. And Castellini, he made 10 figures last year. But the problem is he's probably extended himself through COVID and having to pay for things that he was expecting to make more money. So, yeah, you didn't budget correctly for a pandemic. Well, here's the thing, Bob, no one did. But you still have to figure it out. And I don't think he did a very good job of that.
Well, Lance McAllister makes this point all the time, and I'm going to give him credit for it because it's perfect. We've heard for the past 15 months how much money they're losing, right? Mm-hmm. You know what we haven't heard for the past 5 years?
How they're worth over $1 billion now?
How much money they're making while they were putting an absolute dog crap product on the field.
Yeah.
excuse me, never once, that gets me worked up, never once did we hear, look, we're sorry we made $14.7 million last year and we put out a team that finished with 100 losses. That's on us. Our bad. We'll get. No, we never heard that. We never heard. You never hear about the surplus. You always hear about, oh no, this year didn't go well. We're really in trouble. Well, guess what? You saved for 6 years when you put a terrible product on the field and expected us to watch it.
Well, and if you're worried about spending money, sell the team. You have it's worth over $1 billion, and finding a buyer will not be terribly difficult.
Right.
I can't imagine.
It's not.
So if you're not going to spend the money and you're just trying to rake the cash, it's a horrible business model for trying to put a championship product out there. And instead we keep buying in.
This is what's frustrating. They knew they needed a shortstop.
Yes.
They didn't get one.
They let all of them walk.
Yep.
They knew that they traded Raisel Iglesias. They knew that they let Archie Bradley walk. They knew Trevor Bauer wasn't coming back. They knew Anthony DeSclafani wasn't coming back. And they didn't do anything. The one guy they signed is the perfect metaphor for what is going on here. Sean Doolittle. They did as little as physically possible, as humanly possible. All of us looked at that roster and went, "Oh, that defense is going to be bad, bad." And you know what you do to help fix your defense? You get a shortstop that can defend and at least shore up the middle of the infield, especially now with the shift, with everything that you're asking your shortstop to do. A lot of those problems can be solved with one key addition. And they undersold all of them, or else they would have gotten one of those shortstops, right? If they really wanted one of those guys, if it was really a priority for this organization, they'd have figured out a way to go and get one. But they said, that's too expensive. We don't have that much money to spend. It was really tough. It was a COVID year.
Well, that's one of the other things we talked about at the beginning of the year is they're not the money they are making. Like you said, they're not investing it back in players. They're investing it into the stadium as well. And I mean, I don't need a bar over in left field that you can't even see the game from, and just calling it a rooftop bar. I don't need all that. I want to watch a product on the field. I mean, yes, it's very nice to have all these things in the stadium, and that way my wife will go and she'll have something to do. But
that's why they do it, right? That's why they do it. I don't get too upset with that, because they don't have to be mutually exclusive. You should be making upgrades to your fan experience while also getting better players, while improving your team. You couldn't possibly have looked at what they did last year and thought, this team's ready to compete for a championship. And team lost. Bauer, DeSclafani, their closer. You can't possibly have. So what that tells us as fans, right, is we want to be. It's the Mike Brown thing, right? We want to be 500. Because if we're 500, we're interesting through August and September, and people are going to keep coming, especially in this division, because 86, 87 games is going to win this division. Nobody's really any good. So if you're on track for 81 wins, you're going to be 3-4 games out all through July, August, September, and that's the end goal, which is disgusting because the goal should be win 89, win 90, win 92. They're not there.
I think it speaks to the ineptitude of the front office to run this organization as well. Because, I mean, you see, small market teams like a Tampa Bay, like an Oakland, do some fantastic things with a payroll that's not even where ours is currently at. And they can wheel, they can deal, and they can figure out, how to shift the parts to make it work and put a winning product out there. But, even with the Suarez, experiment at shortstop, why the hell did they wait until like a week left in spring training to even start that? When he came into camp, obviously knowing that he was going to be fighting for the shortstop position because he cut weight.
Here's my problem, and it's right in line with what you're talking about, Aaron. What did teams like Tampa Bay and Oakland do exceptionally well? Draft and develop. St. Louis has been the same way. That's why St. Louis has been in the playoffs for 30 years straight, something like 27 out of 30, whatever crazy it is, or been above 500. They draft and develop. They have a philosophy. They plug guys into their philosophy, and those guys systematically move up and become guys under team control for 3 years on a rookie contract and then 3 years of arbitration. You get 6 years out of those guys, and then the next guy is ready. And it just is a cycle that keeps those teams relevant, that keeps those teams in the hunt.
We just log jam.
No, we don't.
Sure we do. At third base, we did log jam.
You got one position. I'm talking about Votto goes down, right?
And
they're scrambling desperately. How in 13 years have you not developed a first baseman in your farm system?
Not one.
Right. The answer is Alex Blandino
or Tucker or Stevenson.
Yeah, right. India, okay.
Farmer,
Blandino, Garcia is probably 2 years away.
There's some people who think he's 2 weeks away.
Yeah, some people want to bring him up now.
Well, I'm not actually opposed to that because he would give you defense.
He would improve the defense for sure.
The reason you can't bring him up now is because he needs 2 years of learning how to hit at the minor league level, I think. At least another year, probably 2. But that's your one guy. Who else in the minor leagues right now above A-ball do you really look at as an offensive threat and think, here we go? What have they done since Adam Dunn, Jay Bruce, and Joey Votto were in the minor league system? Winker,
I was going to say, he used to be known for that, yeah.
Yeah, Winker has been a big success. Awesome. But guys, we went through 6 years of rebuilding, 6 years of being one of the worst teams in baseball. They got Jesse Winker out of it, and maybe Hunter Green.
Senzel in India.
Well,
your internet connection is more fragile than Nick Senzel.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's super fair.
The other day, he bruised his foot. He didn't even run into the wall. He stopped himself with his upper body. His foot didn't even I want to like Nick Senzel. What's his OPS right now? 680?
Sure.
It's not good. I think that's a lot of my frustration too, is that why you tank? You know why you are intentionally bad for a 5-6 year period?
To be good eventually.
To stockpile talent. And none of the talent they have stockpiled is worth a crap.
It's maddening.
Look at what the Cubs did when all of a sudden they've got Rizzo and Schwarber and they're loaded. And then they went and they got 2 or 3 guys in free agency and they're ready to win a World Series.
He's 638 right now, but I mean it's close enough.
Oh, I'm sorry, I overshot him. I thought he was doing better. I thought 680 was.
He missed a couple games.
So I know you talked about this on your show earlier today, as I did see that you had to rewrite your show earlier today, as the news of Joe Burrow being declared 100% ready for week 1. How much does that news really affect anything? Did that Was that actually news to you? Because it didn't feel like news to me. I think everyone's been operating that he's going to be ready. Was it just finally to get the stamp of approval that everybody felt so good about?
I think more of anything, it's just calming the nerves of the fan base, because the timeline is tight. If you do the math on how long, and they mentioned it in the article, the no return to regular activity for 9 months, no return to live contact for 9 months. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September.
Yeah.
So I think there is some concern, or was some concern, that how ready is he going to be game one? Or is this going to be Burrow has to come back almost completely cold, week 3, week 4? And I talked on the radio, and I'm sure you guys have covered this as well. When the schedule came out, it's pretty backloaded.
We haven't had a chance to talk a whole lot of schedule since it was released. We had the kid from Saturday Night Live last week. So
you didn't have him talk Bengals schedule?
We talked just more general Bengals because he was kind of given memories.
I'm just saying the first 6 games, 7 games are where this team has to make their hay. Because if you get to week 12 and you're 6-6, you're in trouble if you're this team. Because those last 5 games, the 17 is thrown. I'm so not used to 17.
I hate it.
Yeah,
I'm a traditionalist, so
you know what's hilarious is about our brains is we have mastered math to 16 because of the NFL.
Yeah,
we know look, I know 9-7 is a reality. I know 10-6. I know 11-5. I'm a Bengals fan, so I know 4-12. I don't know the math on 17 yet. I'm not going to be very good at this whole trying to do the quick math in my head during radio shows and podcasts to 17, because I'm just not trained for 17 yet.
It's just one of those awkward numbers anyway, in general.
Right. It's
a prime at that high up the chain. It's a prime number.
Get out of here with 17. Go to 18 so I can go back to doing normal math.
Well, they're gonna get to 18. You know that it's only a matter of time before they get to 18, but they had to baby step it.
That third preseason game is not long for this world.
No,
and they'll be at 18 before long, which is gonna stink again, because just when we start to figure out the math to 17, it's gonna be 18, and that's gonna piss me off too.
Good God.
It's all about me, Aaron. It's all about me.
I think you speak for everyone at this point, though, in regards to 17. It's just not a natural number that anyone wants to gravitate towards. I hate it.
I had a CEO once tell me that if you wanted to remember something, you have to say it 17 times.
It's actually my number. My birthday is October 17th, and 17 was my number growing up. But it's a terrible number for number of games on a schedule.
Absolutely.
So real quick, am I in the minority of when I heard that today? And again, I know we've been assuming that he was going to play at the beginning of the season. I think I'm in the minority of I kind of don't want him to play at the beginning of the season. I kind of don't want to rush it. I don't want to, fall into another Carson Palmer situation. And I would almost be okay with letting, Brandon Allen? Is he the backup still?
Currently.
Yeah, start maybe the first 2 or 3 games. I don't know.
No.
Bad idea?
Just because of what I said.
Yeah.
If you start 0-3 or 1-2,
Good
you
point.
are fighting so far uphill with what this schedule looks like over the last 6 games, 7 games. You're just putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have to be one of the best teams in the NFL to get back above water if you're treading water at game 12, game 13. So I get where you're coming from, and I don't think in theory you're wrong. I just look at what this team is going to have to deal with, and it's going to have to be starting fast. Is he frozen? No, he's not.
No.
Okay.
No,
He just didn't. He didn't. No, I was talking about Aaron.
I was reading. Sorry.
No, I was talking about Aaron. I was hoping he was frozen. Like,
Oh, he
Nope.
could have been. That's a possibility.
the new apartment has been kind of a pain in the butt because he hasn't blinked out nearly as often.
I
Just
don't
have
think. I was just gonna say I don't think maybe just the when we had the super fans on, I was like my video froze, but my audio was still fine the entire time. I think that was about it.
Yeah, the only issue we have now, like we said, was the taping of Fast and the Furious outside his window.
How did that go? Did you go down and like get some autographs, or was The Rock there?
I don't know. I feel like Vin Diesel's been here since I moved in, apparently. So they're not actually filming anything out there, but I swear to God.
I'm aware.
Well, I can't read your facial expressions right now because you're you're ripping cigs.
I was just wondering if The Rock was there. Like, are you like, did you get to go downstairs and like climb up on somebody's car and give the, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, like that would be awesome.
I just wonder which throwback rappers they're going to bring back in the next installments. As I feel like they keep trickling. If you go back and rewatch the series, they had Ja Rule was in the first one. Then they resurrected Ludacris's career. Tyrese doing whatever it is that Tyrese does. I'm still not sure what his character's point is.
I was gonna make a bad joke, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
I was gonna say DMX is out.
It's true. He is.
But that wouldn't be cool, so I'm not going to do it.
I thought you were going to push something about like hoping to see Andre or Big Boy in the next installment.
I mean, I could see Andre 3000. I mean, he's done a bunch of acting, so
yeah.
I could see Andre 3000 popping up in a Fast and Furious movie.
Four Brothers is his best movie, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, probably for sure. Yeah, Four Brothers is really good.
What were you going to say, Ed?
I was saying we could bring Little Bow Wow back.
Well, they used to call him Little Bow Wow. No, he's Big Bow Wow.
Now it's just Bow Wow. Sorry.
That's like when I went, rest in peace, Shock G. I went to see Digital Underground in like, it was like early 2000, 2002, 2003, 2004 at Sycamore Gardens. And the opening act was Young MC. But he was more like, middle-aged MC at the time, so the set didn't sell quite like it used to when he was young MC. When he's up there with like, it's some gray coming in, this doesn't work with your content, bro.
So, as we are, I think, done at this point with Reds and Bengals, unless you have anything else, Reds or Bengals, Ed.
I have nothing else.
I do want to ask you, Chad, what are you more excited about covering? And maybe it's two different answers, covering and watching as we approach the next football season and the next basketball season. Because I find myself thinking about this probably entirely too much, but I don't know which one I'm more excited to like just digest and take in.
It has to be football. Like I know the hipster answer will be basketball because you want to see like what Wes Miller looks like as a coach. You want to start to get a feel for the Wes Miller era here in Cincinnati. I get all of that, and I'm excited to see all of that too. But this has a chance to be the single, without question, without doubt. If this team goes undefeated through the regular season and wins at Indiana and at Notre Dame, we've never seen anything remotely close to this as a fan of the UC football program, as a outlet that covers we've been there for the rise of the UC football program.
Right.
It has to be football, right? You're talking 3-4 guys that are going to be taken in the first 2 rounds. They haven't had a first round draft pick in 50 years. At UC, 50 years. We've got 3 guys that, depending on where you look, are being talked about as legit first-round potential guys. They go undefeated. 2 or 3 of those guys are going to be selected on the first night of the draft. That's something we've never experienced. That's something we've never seen. And you have a coach that loves it here, and you have a coach that has built a culture, and more than anything has built a oneness with the city. Like Cincinnati is eating up Luke Fickell because he has become one of us.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle that this is something that has to be like savored and cherished. Like you've got to go into this season all in on savoring every moment of this UC football team, because what he has built is incredible. The kids he has done it with are phenomenal kids, and it's a lot of fun. Like people don't realize it yet. We're gonna miss Desmond Ridder. For as much crap as Desmond Ridder has taken,
how far we've come.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss Desmond Ridder. We're gonna miss the constant energy and enthusiasm of Myjai Sanders. But we're gonna miss having a guy on the outside that you cannot complete a pass on. And Ahmad Gardner. And a guy on the other side that's really good as well in Kobe Bryant. And a dominant defensive line and real legit talent at wide receiver and running back and tight end. You know, this is going to be special. I am really excited to see what year one of Wes Miller looks like. But I am over my heels excited to get to higher ground and to get this football team, this football 2021 season rolling, because it has the chance to be something unlike anything, UC fans have ever experienced. Did I win you over?
Mention, yes, because I was going to say two separate ones, but no, you got me. And not to mention, we're going to be able to pack Nip again, which is, I mean, you add that on top of all of those great things you just said, it's just going to be energy.
It was so sad. Like the whole reason, I've been doing this a long time now, and I've probably been in the press box for 4 games that I've covered, because I've never been able to pass up being on the field for the energy and the passion that is Nippert Stadium during a game. And it was so sad to like be down there. Like I would get like, you go back to like the UCF game, Friday night in the Nip, and you get all the energy, and like it gets you emotional when you're standing down there on the field and you're just in the center of all of that, like just pure raw energy. And I mean, it's to have been standing there like the first game of the year when there was, they hadn't at the time, at the beginning, I think they were only allowed 4 tickets per student athlete, and that was it. And then as the season went on, then the band and the cheer and dance, they got their families in, and they upped the number of tickets that the team could have. So that, by games 3 and 4, there was at least a little bit of something. But those first 2 games, like, you just felt awful for those kids because this isn't what they signed up for.
Right.
They signed up to be a part of a major college football program with like real like impact of the stadium, of the fan base, like a tangible, momentum, and it was just nothing. And you just felt empty because like walking into campus to check in and get your, to go through and get your bags checked and all that stuff, to see nobody on campus, to see nobody at the grid, to just feel none of the passion that is college football, that UC has done a really good job over the past 15 years, like going from nothing to something, and then to have that taken away, like walking from your car and you're one of like 3 people leaving the parking garage. It was almost heartbreaking. Like you just felt awful.
Well, and you were at the spring game where they had, minimum fans in, as was I, but I don't have anything to compare it to because I wasn't at any games live. So was that honestly like more of a game type feel than any of the actual games you covered last season.
Outside of the AAC championship had some feel to it, but other than that, yeah, like there was just nothing that was close. It was depressing. Like it really was genuinely depressing that you just didn't feel that, like, you
Energy.
get adrenaline. Yeah, even as somebody covering the game, you feel that, like, that surge.
Yeah.
When, like, maybe the best moment I've seen at Nippert Stadium is when Sauce breaks on that ball against UCF and takes it in for a pick six. And that place just exploded. Like, that's one of those things, like, you have trouble sleeping that night. Like, you're up for an extra 4 hours because you had that surge of, like, you saw something special. You saw a moment. And not only did we didn't realize it was just at the time, we thought it was just a moment in that game. It was a moment that created a star.
Yeah.
Because from there forward, Ahmad Gardner went from, a 1A, 1B to, this is our guy, and you can't complete a pass on him. Like, seeing stuff like that, it just isn't the same when you don't have that passion of the crowd and the passion of Nippert there behind it.
Well, I too am super excited to get back into Nippert. I did see pictures of them installing the new field today.
Yep.
Today.
So, did we actually say when that was going to be done when we were talking about it last night? I can't recall if there was like a.
It's going to be. We talked about it. It's going to be just, they've got some leeway. It'll lead right up to the season because they don't need it for camp.
Okay.
Because they get a chance to go to higher ground. There's not like the rush would have been to get it done for football camps coming up starting in June, but that's not going to happen. So, they're going to have to use Shakely, and they're going to have to use, the soccer field, and they're going to have to use the whatever the name of the little field is right outside of Fifth Third Arena behind the baseball stadium.
Right.
They're going to have to use all those to host camps and stuff in the summer, but that's not bad. One, and two, I don't have to walk up and down the steps at Nippert the entire month of June, so I'm looking forward to that.
Your back thanks you as well.
Yes, those steps are brutal.
I know. I got to hear you complaining about them the whole time up.
And people go out there to run them for fun.
Those are the craziest people on the planet.
I offered to take your bag for you. I knew you were having back spasms that weekend.
I toughed it out. Did I not?
You did. I'm not taking that away from you.
I might have complained a little bit, but I toughed it out.
I offered to take your bag.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Oh,
I don't have a mullet, but
you have less hair now than any time I've known you.
You know what? I've had this thought, and I don't know what my wife thinks. She's hanging out around here somewhere. I kind of like it.
Like, I think it's a good look for you.
I like the nice long flowing hair. It looked good on TV, but this is low maintenance. Like, I just need a little dollop of shampoo to wash it and conditioner. Like, I'm not having to care for the hair nearly as much. I got a feeling when it gets back to, like, my thought process initially was I take it down once and grow it back. But when it gets to that, like, bushy stage here in like 3 weeks, I don't know that I'm going to have the patience to wait it out. I'm probably just going to buzz it all off again.
You notice who else never replaced his coif once he cut it is Marty Brenneman.
Yeah,
sure.
So there's something to this short hair, Chad. As somebody who rocks it.
If my wife would not divorce me, I would just shave my head, to be honest with you.
So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody when I was doing it.
Oh, you're doing it?
I just did it. So then when I was done, I called up my daughter, and my daughter almost had a heart attack. And she immediately ran downstairs to my wife to tell on me.
Oh, you got to snitches get stitches, Chad.
I know, right? Well, the beauty of it was she's got an over exaggeration problem. So she made it sound like I had taken the Bic to it and completely eliminated. Right. So by the time my wife walked down to the bottom of the steps and saw, she was like, he's got hair. Like, it's fine. So I think my daughter over exaggerating saved me, as opposed to if my wife had come upstairs and just seen me in the middle of so but I tell you what, it's so much easier. It's so much more convenient. I like it.
So what are your plans with this new podcast, this video
Vlog?
What are the kids calling it these days? YouTube.
It'll be a vlog. It'll be a vlog on YouTube. So I've done a lot over quarantine, helping out small independent local businesses, and you get to see how much that impacts those places, and it kind of it gets in you, and it's kind of contagious. And I've been a food guy for a long time, clearly. So I just wanted to kind of combine those two things and have some fun with it, and go out and hit up a bunch of the mom and pop spots around the city and give people an outlet to the funny thing is, it started with this place called La Torta Loca.
Dude, I Google imaged that place today because you and Brady were talking about it so much. And Christ, those the arepas?
The arepas are awesome. I do the tortas. The tortas are the sandwiches.
Tortas? Is that okay? I'm just looking at the menu. I don't know there's no picture with the menu. You're just kind of piecing things together, but whew, those sandwiches look fantastic.
They are unbelievable. Dan Horde has them as his number one sandwich in the city of Cincinnati, in greater Cincinnati. That's his number one deal. And he's got a good palate. Dan knows good food. So I would recommend it, and then you would get people that would be hit you up on Twitter. I would just take a picture when I went there and be back at La Torta Loca, and then randomly a month later somebody would be like, Chad, I went to La Torta Loca today, and holy crap. And it's that you're helping a place out. You're helping a place that's doing good work and making good food. So
I want you to take in Ed's face as he's clearly Google imaging this place right now.
It's on my head.
His mouth didn't shut for a good solid minute and a half just now as you were talking.
What's all on it, but that sandwich is the size of my head, and I got a big head.
Ed, I can only eat half of a sandwich at a time.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think I'll be eating all that.
It is. I get what's called the pepito. The pepito is steak, chicken, bacon, cheese, sauce, and bread. And it is so delicious. Oh, it's so good. And there's so much food. But so I wanted to create a way to kind of go out and use the community that we've got and let everybody know. I'm going to be really big on people suggesting places to me in their neighborhoods. Nice. I think one of my ideas is I want to do this depending on the BCJ schedule, because it can be, the speed can be a little crazy, just a little crazy from time to time, but I'd like to do one a week. One of my early plans is, hey, let's pick a neighborhood and then have people give me their idea for what we should do in that neighborhood, and then go eat it and find a way to just give people all the different little spots around town, because what's in your neighborhood, right? But there might be something that's a 10-minute car ride away that you've never had. I was looking at there was an Indian place that has the shawarma, which I don't know if you know what those are, but it's where it's these giant stacks of meat. It's like a giant on a sword. And then the heater thing that looks like something that people used to heat their house with, and it just turns and the meat cooks and then you slice it off. Like somebody sent me one of those, and I was like, "Oh, I love shawarma."
So have you ever been to Sebastian's over on the west side?
I have not. That has came up a couple times. You mentioned it, and a couple other people have mentioned it.
Yeah, I mentioned it last night. It's Greek. It's cash only, and they're
Those are the best places.
They're first generation Greek. Like once the guy who makes all the food is gone, I don't know if they continue or not. But they have a rack of lamb or whatever the big meat on a sword is that you have to just shave off to make your gyros and stuff. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing that I'm looking to do. Is like, I the problem I'm having right now is like I'm gonna if Kelsey's gonna be my host, co-host, we've got to do some training there.
Broaden her palate.
No, she wants to dunk on people. She wants to be like, "This stinks. I don't like this."
Oh no!
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right about that because my wife did with the city of Cincinnati. She did the sea change thing a few years ago, and they went to a bunch of different restaurants. And she went to Sammy's over in Blue Ash, the burger joint.
Yeah,
no clue the place was there, and they have I don't say the best burgers, but they got some damn good burgers over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can just find so many cool places, and we've gotten to the point now that like we've built such a huge community with Bearcat Journal that I never really anticipated that it would explode like it has. But now that it has, let's do some cool stuff with it.
That's true.
I think that's one of the cool things we're discovering, like as the internet evolves, as like brands become a thing, as personal brands become a thing. Like I watch Twitch every night and watch these guys that have built. There's guys that like one of the main guys I watch, and I don't know if you guys pay much attention to like Twitch and how that stuff works. There's a guy named Summit 1G that has been grinding for like 10, 12 years and has he's been a professional gamer. And I think his claim to fame was he was on Counter-Strike and was like a competitive tournament Counter-Strike player. But now he jumps around and does like Grand Theft Auto RP. If you've never watched Grand Theft Auto RP, that is some of the funniest stuff. Like it's better than watching TV because what it's become is it's Grand Theft Auto that's been modded completely.
Yeah.
And you have to assume the role of a character, and you create this character and you make it your own. And there's a lot of voice actors that have kind of like gone down this medium. And they build these communities of like Summit's got, if you know how Twitch works, like you can follow somebody and that's free, or you can subscribe to them and you can use your Twitch Prime account, or it costs like $5 a month to subscribe to them. They get $3
it's like OnlyFans.
Kind of, yeah. Well, but no, there's a price for OnlyFans. Like,
So, there's a set up front monthly price.
There's no Twitch. There's no Amazon Prime substitute for your OnlyFans account.
Thanks for putting into terms I could understand.
Yeah. But Summit's got 50,000 subscribers. He makes $3.50 a month off of every subscriber.
Oh, jeez.
Think about that. Do the math. He's making $175,000 a month
to play
to play video games, and that's not counting like the advertising he does, like the sponsored streams, and I think he's got a thing with G Fuel, right? Like, and the hits on his YouTube channel and monetizing Facebook, and like, but behind that, these guys create these great communities. And there's a guy, Dr. Lupo, and I'm getting really nerdy on this, and I'm sorry. But Lupo every year does a thing for St. Jude's. And his stream has grown so much, and he's built such a community. Last Christmas, they raised $2 million in a day, in 24 hours for St. Jude's.
Wow.
And to me, that stuff is just so powerful. Like the where we've gotten, the ability that we've gotten to like, to do good, to build these communities and build a product that people want, and to see like what are the other directions that we can use to do this stuff. And that's kind of like where this food thing is like coming from in my mind is, As long as I can get my daughter not to shit on every place that we go to, like we can help out. Like, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to say something's good if it's not, but like we can point these places out. Hey, like go check this place out. This place, it might not be in your neighborhood, but it's 8 minutes away. Get in your car, take your family,
Right.
Like go get some food and support some people. This has always been my stance on like local mom and pop like food places. Tell everyone you know if you like it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that they're going to stay. That's the only way that they're going to survive and be open, is if you let everybody you know, like, this place has good food. You guys need to go eat there. And you do everything you can to help them build that base. I think this is just another way, you know, to expand on that and do some good things in the community here in Cincinnati, which I think, from what we've seen in the crosstown tip-off, and we did the thing with Mio's where we fed, you know, thousands and thousands of hospital workers during the beginning of the pandemic. People want to do the right thing in this town. And if there's a place that serves good food, that's a mom and pop place, that's locally owned, that has a good story and has good food on the menu and a good atmosphere, people want to know where those places are. So I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring and see if I can bring some of that to the YouTubes. Brendel's Bites, Bites, not Bytes, like the article I've been writing for 10 years. But Brendel's Bites, you can find us on YouTube there. We don't have a video up yet, but we're getting there.
Now, as we start wrapping this whole show up, I know you've talked about it a couple times since you've been here tonight, and I know the conversations that we've had off air, and so I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but you've talked about the growth of Bearcat Journal. And so what kind of growth have you seen over the course of the way that the last year has kind of developed with the football program taking off and the basketball program taking off? And what are your future plans for the website?
I can't get into that last part yet. That's a ways off, but there are plans. We have plans. The growth has been unbelievable. And I've talked to a couple people about this. I think we're getting to a point where I used to hear all the time, like, I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying for information on the internet. And that was a real thing we had to fight for like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because everybody got everything in one little bundle. You got your cable in one little bundle. You got your phone in one little bundle. Like, that's how everything happened prior to maybe 2-3 years ago. And now everything is becoming a la carte. It has become normalized. And, you know, it's been something that UC fans have really responded to in a manner that I never thought was going to happen. I've told this many times on Bearcat Journal. It took us 10 years to get to 500 members. And we could never get over the hump. We'd get, 475, 480. We couldn't fight to over 500 members. And since I took over in 2016, when Tim Adams retired, we were at like I remember looking the day Tim retired. It was 483 members. And we're about to hit 1,500. And, so it took us 10 years to get to 500. And we've added 1,000 almost in the 5 years since. So, and I'd love to like sit here and puff my chest and be like, I'm the like, oh man, come on. But I think the real reason is this is normalized now. Paying for it, if you provide a good service, if you do good work, and look, I grind and bust my ass every day, but we've got an awesome team, as Aaron will tell you. Like, since he's been able to join with Brent, with Dave, with Brett, with Carrie, with Brian Baker, our photographer, and Jeff Gentle doing baseball. Like, we have an awesome team that provides content, and it's just been normalized now that's okay. Like, it's the right thing to do to support content creators that are working hard and providing good content. And this city has been so starved for it when it comes to UC coverage. You guys know the Inquirer has sucked for our entire lives covering UC.
I didn't know if you were going to actually say it, but
another example today.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
what was Doc doing today?
I don't follow him. I don't read him. I don't give him clicks. I'm over it.
I didn't click on it either, but he was supporting. He had an article today that he was just raging about firing a coach for giving money to a kid going through COVID mental issues.
It's over. It ended 5 weeks ago, fellas. 6 weeks ago. It's over. Let it go. Let it go. Yep. Let it go. I've got a 10-year-old daughter. You think I haven't watched Frozen a time or two? Let it go.
I just don't know what Doc's doing here.
You're embarrassing yourself. You're making yourself look like a clown. What are you doing? Guess what? John Brandon's not giving you any money to cape up for him.
No.
Right?
That's all going to Tommy Mars.
Just let it go. Let it go off into the distance and fade away. Look forward. Keep it moving. Today. What's that?
Who possibly has a new client after today?
Yeah. Boy, that one's interesting, isn't it?
We're not done with this story, right?
You know Dino Gaudio was an assistant at X and recruited Chris Mack to Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's going to be some
and now he's trying to extort the program for 17 months pay. And look, 17 months pay for us, Dino Gaudio was probably making $600,000 a year. 17 months pay is $3/4 to $800,000.
Yep.
You give me my $800K, or I'm telling on your asses for. I don't even know. It didn't even make sense what he was going to turn him in for.
Which is why we're not hearing the whole story. There's no way that's the whole story.
Yeah,
that's the cover up.
What I want to know is what is illegal, quote unquote, about what can't you put in recruiting videos that the NCAA is like, oh no, it's Louisville, so we might have a good They just put some stripper videos in there just to remind them of what's going to happen when the kid gets to campus.
With the Adidas logo in the corner, and they start off in tracksuits. No big deal.
It's outstanding.
So, we can't thank you enough for bailing us out on. We haven't done a podcast with just the two of us in so long. We were
over first.
We were trying, and you added a whole different element. So we definitely do appreciate you. Well, I thought you were talking about playing third base.
I know. The funny thing is, we really haven't done this. You've been working for me now for 7 months, 8 months
since August, September, yeah.
And we've interacted back and forth. Ed and I interact back and forth on Twitter the entire time. You guys have just never extended a formal invite, so I invited myself. Screw it.
Oh,
Did you invite?
No, I didn't. I said to Aaron a couple times, hey, maybe you should just ask Chad if he was going. Chad's probably busy. All right, that's cool.
I mean, depending on when that question was asked. He was. The past 3 or 4 months have been a little crazy.
Really.
Tonight kind of worked out. I don't have much to do tomorrow, and I was in a talkative mood. I have to radio for 3 hours, so
that's the other thing. You fill in so much for Mo or Lance or whatever. I couldn't just be like, hey, you just got done doing 3 hours of radio, and we did our podcast last night, and why don't you just hop on with me?
I'm doing another hour and 30 minutes.
It was a courtesy thing.
Aaron, when have you ever known me not to want to talk?
That's a fair statement as well.
2 o'clock in the morning.
No, I didn't call him this morning, Ed.
No, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I mean, that's the only time that he doesn't want to talk.
I mean, normally I'm okay. It was just I had to do stuff the next morning.
I didn't mean to even call. I didn't even mean to call. I hung up immediately. That wasn't a. I have called you late before and wanted to talk. That wasn't one of those.
Normally I'm okay. I don't sleep. It's pretty obvious based on my Twitter account. I'm a terrible sleeper. I get very little of it. But yeah, we had it was the spring game, wasn't it? We had the spring game the next day.
It was.
I had to
Does he
get up
send
and
you a
work.
text first, like, "Hey, are you up?"
Like, so if he really actually wants to talk, yeah. But that time he was, I guess, trying to call like Chrissy or Christine or somebody in his phone list close to CH.
No,
And he
you were at the top of my in my call log, and I was going into my call log to call somebody, and I fat thumbed it.
I usually get the text, "Are you up?" or he'll stalk my Twitter and see if I've tweeted in a little while.
I
Use your
mean,
resources.
Mo is a guy that Mo's like me. Mo doesn't sleep, so a lot of Mo will get that text from me pretty frequently, like, "You up? Hey, what's up?" And usually he is. There are times though he'll hit me the next morning and be like, "Bro, I actually slept last night." I'm like,
What's that? What's that called?
What
How
do you-
does that work?
"What do you mean you actually slept last night? That is against the rules. It's not what we do."
Well, again, we thank you for coming on with us tonight and saving the podcast. I don't know what it would have been if it had just been Ed and I. It may have been 35, 40 minutes of us getting our quick takes out and the end of it. But you made a show of it, so we do appreciate it.
Glad to join and always fun to talk some Cincinnati sports. I like the biggest difference for me here is I get so pigeonholed that I can only talk UC.
Right.
And I like talking Reds and Bengals. Like, you guys are more likely to get me if you're like, "Hey, you want to go do a show where we talk like 10 minutes of UC and then like all the other stuff going?" Oh, we didn't even get to hit on my FC Cincinnati takes.
We don't know anything about soccer.
I don't either. Well, I mean, I know a lot about soccer. I don't know much about FC Cincinnati because maybe next time.
We tried super hard for like a year to understand soccer, and then Aaron just trying to read the names off was, enough of a struggle. So I wasn't going to repeat them at all. So we kind of gave up on the soccer thing.
That's fair. I didn't have a lot of good experiences with the FC people when they were at Nippert. So maybe I'll give them a try now that they've moved out of my house. and then moved into their own place. They're not freeloading anymore, so I won't have to deal with some of the crap that I saw them put UC through,
or the lines on the field.
It'll be nice not having soccer lines on the field.
Yes,
that is accurate. You are correct, sir. Yes, you are correct, sir.
Well, that was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Chad, thank you again for joining us. We do appreciate it. For Ed Mayhall, I am Aaron Smith, and we hope you enjoyed what was a very impromptu guest. So
enjoyable.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Soon, we'll do it again.